On the afternoon of August 11, 1977, David Berkowitz was transferred from Brooklyn Criminal Court to the Psychiatric Detention Unit at Kings County Hospital. Thank you for joining me, Cracklin' Rosie, as I share some stories from the psych ward. While Berkowitz is being admitted and or settling into his new room at Kings County, 4 newsmen are arrested for breaking into his apartment. Yonkers, New York, 4 news photographers were charged with criminal trespass for entering the apartment of the man suspected of being the son of Sam, who has killed 6 people and wounded 7 others. Yonkers police said Ted Cowell, employed by Time magazine, David Berliner and Robert Kalfas, employed by The Washington Post, and Lenny Dietrich of the New York Daily News were arrested at about 3 p.m. Thursday in the apartment of the son of Sam suspect David Berkowitz. Authorities said their film was seized on the district attorney's authority, and all were booked and released for arraignment today in Yonkers City Court. Westchester County District Attorney Carl Vergari could not be reached for comment. It was learned that all 3 locks were secure on the front door of Berkowitz's 7th floor apartment when police arrived. Police speculated the photographers entered by dropping from the roof to Berkowitz's top floor studio apartment. Let's talk timeline. Now I will summarize the Kings County timeline for you. After, I will provide more detail and context. August 11, 1977, Berkowitz is admitted to Kings County Detention. August 23, 1977, Berkowitz pleads not guilty. August 30, 1977, Berkowitz is found unfit to stand trial. October 21, 1977, a competency hearing is held. April 1978, Berkowitz is found fit to stand trial. May 8, 1978, Berkowitz enters a guilty plea. May 22, 1978, the initial sentencing hearing is held. June 12, 1978, Berkowitz is sentenced. Let's jump back in time to August 15, 1977. This archive will give us a good feel of the first few days of David Berkowitz's incarceration at Kings County. After sleeping for 10 hours, Berkowitz was awakened at 8 a.m. and served a breakfast of hot cereal, orange juice, 2 soft-boiled eggs, and coffee, which a hospital employee said he ate like a man who was starving. After breakfast, the 24-year-old postal worker who allegedly killed 6 persons and wounded 7 others with his Bulldog .44 caliber pistol was allowed to walk in an exercise area and was then taken for a daily shower, supervised by 2 guards. Then it was cartoon time, one hospital employee explained, adding that Berkowitz was granted his first television session of the day from 11 a.m. to noon, a session he chose to watch The Flintstones. The man who kept the city on edge for a year and who is now among the most closely guarded human beings in the nation sat with that same strange smile on his face as the cartoon characters flickered across the screen, the employee added. He eats like a horse and sleeps like a baby, one of the men watching him said. It's as though he hasn't a worry in the world. The only time he seems at all bothered is during the long hours alone in his room. Berkowitz's world is an 8 by 12 foot room with white plaster walls and a lone mesh-covered window that looks out into the campus-like hospital grounds. Berkowitz, the source said, has little to say to hospital personnel or those guarding him. Mostly he just answers when we ask how he is or if he wants something. The rest of the time he is quiet, but there are those times when his lips seem to be moving, almost as though he's talking to someone, one source added. But there's nobody there. Dr. Daniel Schwartz, the hospital's director of forensic psychiatry, said tests being made to determine Berkowitz's ability to stand trial for murder were progressing on schedule. Hospital officials, meanwhile, maintain official silence on all other matters relating to the accused killer, who allegedly told police that he took his instructions from a 6,000-year-old man named Sam, who spoke to him through a neighbor's dog. Aside from the 2 psychiatrists testing him, the alleged Son of Sam killer had only 3 other visitors: attorney Leon Stern, retained by his father, competing counsel Philip Peltz, who claims he was hired by Berkowitz himself, and Nathan Berkowitz, David Berkowitz's adopted father, who dropped by Saturday for about an hour. News briefs from Associated Press, October 31st, 1977. Berkowitz meets mother. New York. David Berkowitz, accused of being the son of Sam, 44 caliber killer, has met with his natural mother, Betty Falco, who gave him up for adoption shortly after he was born, the New York Daily News says. The paper said in today's editions that Berkowitz had steadfastly refused to see Mrs. Falco during the 2 months he has been confined in Kings County Hospital, where he is undergoing psychiatric tests. He was persuaded to allow the visit of his mother, now living on Long Island, after repeated pleas from his sister and his attorney. Berkowitz's adopted father, Nathan, and his half-sister, Rosalind Rothenberg, have visited often. September 22, 1977. Berkowitz death chant. New York. Chanting "Kill Berkowitz." 35 friends and relatives of victims of Son of Sam picketed yesterday in front of the hospital where David Berkowitz, suspected of being the killer, is undergoing psychiatric examination. The demonstrators outside Kings County Hospital were led by Ava Freund, whose sister Christine, 26, was shot to death January 30th. Besides Freund and her family, the families of Virginia Voskerichian, 19, who also was shot to death, and Stacy Moskowitz, 20, son of Sam's latest victim, joined the march to call for the quick trial and punishment of Berkowitz. Berkowitz analysis says unfit for trial. I will have this entire article available for you on the timeline. There was one specific portion that I wanted to cover for you. Again, this is community interest stories. In another development, the City Corrections Department disclosed today that Berkowitz was punched by another inmate at Kings County while taking a shower Sunday morning. A spokesman for the department said the other inmate, Carmelo Colon, was being escorted into the shower room when he accused Berkowitz of stealing his slippers and threw a glancing blow at Berkowitz's head, stunning him momentarily. In between eating like a horse and sleeping like a baby, Berkowitz finds time for other things, like artwork and journaling. Let's take a look at one of his daily writings. I am tormented. I cry in my cell. I miss my daddy. I hate myself. I am very uptight. I hear demons. I see demons. I need to talk to someone. I cannot be left alone. I will have a breakdown. I cannot be understood. I am truthful. I am doomed. Of course, it wouldn't be a presentation without a crazy letter from David Berkowitz. Let's take a look at a letter written to Sam and Wheat Carr from Kings County Hospital. Beloved Papa, father of vomit, I heard your smelly mother last night. She was outside below my window, shouting her usual blend of obscenities. Sam, you have a terrible mother. Why is she so perverted? I smelled through my window that rancid odor of vomitus, and immediately I thought of you and Wheat. Tell me, Papa God, what fate awaits me? I hope I never have to spend it in your attic again. Sam, my lord, I've heard that you had killed again in New Jersey. But fear not, because I haven't told the police about the other Bergen County brunettes. I can drink water here. I remember when you used to keep me tied up in the sun for days without water. Sam Carr, Lord of Turd, I worship you and your dead living mother. Your son, David. Quick note on the initial psychological examination. According to David Berkowitz, over a 1.5-month period, Dr. Schwartz and Dr. Wiedenbacher met with him approximately 12 hours. After the 12 hours, they compiled a 6-page report, which in his words, quote unquote, was triple-spaced and sealed in an envelope for the judge. After the initial testing, Berkowitz was found unfit to stand trial. After several months and the appointment of Dr. David Abramson to the case, Berkowitz was found fit to stand trial. We will go in greater detail on that in our next video. Let's read directly from the official court transcript. The defendant has been examined by Dr. Daniel W. Schwartz and Dr. Richard L. Wiedenbacher, each of them being duly certified qualified psychiatrists. They were designated by the director of Kings County Hospital Center to examine him pursuant to the order of the court dated February 27, 1978. The defendant has also been examined by Dr. David Abrahamson, a qualified psychiatrist designated by District Attorney Eugene Gold, and also by Dr. Martin Lubin, a qualified psychiatrist designated by Ira Joltak and Leon Stern, attorneys for the defendant. The court is in receipt of the written reports of Dr. Schwartz, Dr. Wiedenbacher, and Dr. Abramson. The court received an oral report from Dr. Lubin. While at Kings County, journalist Jimmy Breslin requested an interview with David Berkowitz. Let's hear Berkowitz's response. Dear Mr. Breslin, it has come to my attention that you wish to speak with me. Well, all you have to do is come over to my home at Kings County Hospital. At this time, I am unable to visit you. I am quite disgusted with the way the press has been spreading lies about me, but perhaps some of these can be ironed out in our meeting. However, I am not one to cry out a case of injustice. I hope Mayor Beam enjoys dribbling my head across the court. This is really crossed out, fucked up, like a circus event with clowns and animals. Please bring a beer when you come. Sincerely, David Berkowitz. Now let's elaborate on the demon story. I hope to cover this topic again on a future live stream. October 23rd, 1977. Berkowitz said he was willing to die for his crimes, but not before telling his story. Looking merely for peace of mind, he said, he was not insane. Described by his attorney as quite satisfied with the competency ruling, Berkowitz had told Dr. Daniel W. Schwartz, head of forensic psychiatry at Kings County Hospital, about demons and angels. The defendant told Schwartz, who quoted Berkowitz in his report. About 6,000 years ago, when they had that war up in heaven, 1/3 of the angels remained, 1/3 went to hell, and 1/3 came to earth. It is the final third, looking like average people, but unable to die and banded together to destroy the world, that were harassing the patient. These demons are in the Bronx, New Rochelle, and Yonkers, wherever I lived. But the howling demons who demand blood from the dead so they can drink it and lap it out of the wounds apparently never appeared during the hearing. Berkowitz remained outwardly calm despite the presence of Craig Glassman, a former neighbor whom Berkowitz had described as Satan's helper. In an examination conducted by the court-assigned psychiatrists, Berkowitz said there were times when Glassman took over his mind and body. Berkowitz said Glassman has got the power to go into me, into my mind. Berkowitz claimed Glassman worked for Sam Carr, another neighbor whom he described as an assistant of Jack Cosmo, Berkowitz's landlord when he lived in New Rochelle. The defendant said General Jack Cosmo was the demon leader in the tri-state area. Schwartz and defense attorneys maintained that recently the frequency of the demonic appearances had declined, occurring only about once a week. Let's conclude this study session with the guilty plea. David Berkowitz gave his psychiatrists 19 reasons for pleading guilty and not seeking an insanity plea. One of those reasons was because Sister Smith wants it that way, and she had a vision of it. Who is Sister Smith? Let's listen to an excerpt of a video that I released several months ago. The elusive Sister Ollie Smith, an evangelist, originally from Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, visited the prison ward of Kings County Hospital often. There she prayed and sang hymns with David Berkowitz. In an interview, Dr. Schwartz claims that after a visit with Sister Ollie, Berkowitz states that she acted as intermediary between he and God. The newspapers reported that it was Sister Smith that influenced Berkowitz to plead guilty.
Never forget what happened. She saw him alone. He would ask her a question. She would then talk to God. God would then ostensibly answer her, and she would repeat the answer to David. And when they came out an hour later, she went on her way. He walked down the hall towards me. He had this incredible glow on his face that he had just met God again. And so he came out of this informing me and his attorneys that he was going to plead guilty. And nothing could change his mind.
Well, those are incredible stories. But according to David Berkowitz's attorney, Leon Stern, David's guilty plea was an arrangement between D.A. Gold and other DAs based upon the idea that if he pled guilty, he would go to a psychiatric center and not to jail. Gold reneged on the deal due to the public pressure. David found out about it at his sentencing and freaked out.